Welcome everyone to another episode of the Old Timers Comic Book Show. I am your host, joining the machine, Hughes, and joining me as always, I've got a couple of old timers. The Professor, the 13th Crusader.
Hey,
Greetings.
I have to say, Johnny, this is my favorite team up.
Is it? Oh, bless you. Cotton socks.
What a pal.
Yes, it's. I look forward to doing this show every fortnight. So, some of the topics we get to talk about are absolutely bonkers, as one of the books is today. Just spoilers out there. So this time around, we're talking team ups. We're talking team ups, and lucky you, we have not just 3 books, but thanks to the capricious nature of the 13th.
13 books. Fantastic.
Yay. No,
That's fine.
we're up to 4. We're up to 4 books. So there we go. All right. So we are going from Sublime to the ridiculous, which explains my choice, which we'll get to later, I'm sure. But starting off with, I suppose, the term classic cannot be used strong enough, I think, for this book.
Yeah.
So let's get straight to it. We are going with Marvel Mystery Comics number 9. There we go. Have a check at this. Now, this book, is it a team up? We're not quite sure, but we're going to go with it. So this is from July 1940, and it ranges in price from anywhere from $2,000 to $38,000 for a CGC grade 9. There you go. Creators are Bill Everett and Carl Burgos. And Professor, it's a Marvel book, so I guess this must be your choice, right?
It is my choice because we decided we were going to do team ups, and I was like, wow, everybody in the Marvel universe has teamed up with everybody else at some point, so it was really difficult to try to figure out what team up do I want to talk about, right? I mean, is it Spider-Man and whoever, or what? So I wanted to go. I'll go back to the first original Marvel team up, which is Submariner and Human Torch, and they met actually met at the tail end of Marvel Mystery Comics number 8, which, when you start this book, it goes right into the action where it's Submariner versus the Human Torch, not really a team up, right? So I'm kind of breaking my own rule, but it is the first time that you see 2 Marvel characters together in a story. Okay. So I think it counts.
Does it count 13th? Are we letting them off on that one? Sounds like a bit of a technicality to me. Like,
oh well. Sure, why not? It'll be fun. It's always fun.
13 reasons not to. All right, okay.
So it's fun to think about. So back in the late 1930s, early 1940s, when this story first appeared, that the houses that were doing these heroes. So you think Siegel and Schuster on Superman. You think so Bill Everett on Submariner, Carl Burgos Human Torch. They were actually They farmed out their studios were creating these heroes, but then they were selling the stories to Marvel Comics or Atlas or Timely or whoever they were called at the time, and then they were put together into these books. And at this point, Marvel Mystery Comics, you're getting 5 stories per issue with a different hero in each. Every 13 pages. And this is the first time that these studios combined to do a story together, which I thought was super cool. And if you read the stories, if you read the fanzines, this story was created over the course of a weekend. So a Saturday and a Sunday, Bill Everett and Carl Burgos, they met at Bill Everett's apartment and kind of did a 48-hour basically they created this book over the course of a weekend with their all their writers, inkers, artists. They produce the entire thing, and this is what we got. So you had Bill Everett working on his Submariner characters, Carl Burgos working on Human Torch, and and that to me was a great story. There was one great story of I think the writer's last name is Piazza, but he actually wrote the story in the bathtub because there was nowhere to sit.
I've read this. I've read it. This is in the book, isn't it? It's in the book, The Marvel The Untold Story by Sean Howe.
Yes, it's in that. And you can find that story told different times. I actually read the story in a old issue of Alter Ego.
So for
fanzine.
Marvel fans, check out Alter Ego. Check out that book. I'll put you onto that book. And if you're into your Marvel history, the good and the bad.
Yep.
That book is an absolute must-have.
Well, that will constitute this as a team up for sure. A team up of creators.
It's really for sure. And now the one thing that never ever gets resolved by the end of this story is who wins, right? When you see that all the time, they never have a clear winner. However, if you pick up Marvel Mystery Comics number 10, on the very last page, on the very first page, they resolve it where Betty Dean, who is the police officer, she comes in and she says, "I will, Submariner. If you agree to just leave, we'll let you go." And that's the end of the fight on the very first page of the next issue. But but I'm sure, like, if you guys read the story, on the last page, you have Human Torch is trapped in a cylinder with Submariner standing over him, and we don't know how the story is going to end. And they just said, right, it's kind of like Batman 66, like what happens at the end. So
join us next time. Same Namor challenge.
I love this book just because it's like a total throwback. There's no when they do the explanation of the action, it's really kind of just written in the space where they can fit it. There's no panel like word panels explaining the exposition. The very golden age drawing. Submariner's got a triangle head. It's interesting. It's jarring, but a great because it's golden age stuff. And if you guys, maybe not everybody's cup of tea, golden age, but I think it's great. I think it's a great first team up and great way to kick off the podcast because I think the other two team ups are better than this one, but this one's the first one. So
yeah, I think it's a great pick. I mean, we talked about Detective 27 not so long ago.
Yes,
and you can see the kind of, and this is 1940, so this is a year or 6 months or something crazy like that since Detective Comics. Yeah. So you can see that art style is still quite prevalent. The kind of non-expansive bodies, the small heads, and so on and so forth. 13th, what did you think of it?
Well, it's always interesting to take the time out to revisit the Golden Age, and these two characters have withstood the test of time, especially for Namor. What I take away from it is just an appreciation of kind of like the base foundation of the character for Namor. You notice the art is, he's a little sleeker. The inking is lighter. Torch is just a hot mess, no pun intended, and how he's drawn and what have you. But, in reading this story, and knowing what I know now between these two characters, this battle should have lasted one panel. I would take the Namor any day over the Torch. No disrespect to Jim Hammond, yeah, but the Jim Hammond Torch is a classic in itself. So both of these guys have gone through their fair share of adventures. So to go back to the first time where they kind of met and a battle ensued was pretty interesting. And then to nobody's surprise, Namor being displayed as a villain wasn't anything new, even during the Golden Age. So you could see, I mean, I just think at this Golden Age era that Namor wasn't as villainous as he was when he was battling the Fantastic Four, because by then he had an armada and a whole nation of sea dwellers in the Atlanteans that wanted to take over New York and what have you, and nuclear threats and team ups with the Hulk or whoever else. So, but this is just pretty simplistic. I thought there was some funny moments, you know, that Namor coincidentally dives into a vat of chlorine water. That made me laugh. His ankle wings got singed and he couldn't fly. I'm like, if that's the way to beat Namor, but you know, as you read along, you know, it's a classic. There's no doubt about it. So it's all good.
I'll jump in and just say with with Bill Everett's portrayal of Submariner back in the 30s, that this is pre World War II, so he is in these stories pretty much at war with humans, and it was so convenient when World War II started to shift him to fighting Nazis, and everybody was kind of on board with that. And then when he kind of had to make a decision on whether or not he was going to ally with the rest of the Allies versus Nazism, it was that was where I think Submariner actually became super popular. You know, but here, yeah, it was. I thought I got a giggle out of the burning off of his wings. I thought it was kind of funny, you know. But just and they don't do it in this story, but in these early Golden Age stories, Submariner actually has another power, which I don't know if you guys know about. He actually can generate electricity like an electric eel.
Well, that's shocking.
Yeah, that's very shocking. He uses it quite a few times in these Golden Age stories, and then he just he never really kind of goes back to it.
I'm trying to find where his wings catch on fire. It's around here somewhere. Obviously. It's in here. There
right there. That
yeah,
page.
It is. Yeah, that page. All right. So, my thoughts of this book. I know we say this a lot sometimes. It's of its time. I think Namor's trying to destroy the George Washington Bridge. 13th. Just think if he succeeded, Goblin would have to find something else to kick Gwen Stacy off of.
There are plenty of bridges in New York, so.
Yeah, what's one bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love the aerial sub that just sits slap bang at the bottom of the water. So I think I'm not quite sure what the point of that one is. Story-wise, it's probably not the most complex story. You know, both characters have their upper hand moments, only to be drat, I let him get away type of thing, which is the thing that makes it of its time, to be fair. Although the water in this is green, so I guess pollution's always been an issue in New York. Is that right?
That is correct. That water is consistent.
Is it still green right now?
Much more brown, but
so from a story point of view, which, as I say, it's probably not the most complex. The art, love the art. I think the art really works. I love looking at the Golden Age stuff. Primarily because that's pretty much where my art still is when I draw. I'm joking. My art's not that Golden Age. I think it's a story it's a book that has more connotations of the meeting of the two characters. I think that's what makes this, the historical context, far outweighs the readability of this, purely because if you go back and you've got your modern day head on, you're just going to pick at it like I just did. You're just going to go, oh, look at that, his wings are on fire. Oh, look at that, the water's green. Oh, look at that, the aerial sub. It doesn't fly. It's a submarine. You've got to ask the question, of course, if you're a submariner, why do you need a submarine? But, hey ho, whatever. Okay, a couple of questions then. So, is this the Human Torch that was in the Invaders?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Just checking, because people will be like, might ask that question. And at this point, has Namor been outed as Marvel's first mutant?
Nope.
No, I don't think mutants were a thing back then.
All right, okay, cool. So this is the pre-mutant, pre-Toro Namor and Human Torch.
Well, I mean, at this point, you do know that he is the product of a human father and an Atlantean mother. but that they never mentioned the fact that that this is a mutant. He's more of a hybrid. And they even later on, when they introduce Namorita, or Namora, I think they call her before that. Same thing. She's a hybrid, so they don't actually. They never ever use the word mutant. They didn't start using the word mutant until X-Men #1. So
okay, cool, excellent there. So if you want to get a little bit of before the hype, this book's for yours. Of course, that's if you've got 2 to 38 grand just sitting around in your back pocket. I'm not sure.
Or you can just sign up for the Marvel Unlimited app for $10 a month, and it's right on there.
Yeah, cool. I will say, when I was doing some research for this book, I saw a lot of the Marvel Masterworks hardbacks. You know, the ones that are the full color. Yeah. I swear, those books are worth every penny. If you can get a hold of some of those, there's some really good looking books in there. The coloring's not the same sort of coloring that you expect. It's on glossy paper. So 13th, I know you're a bit of a colorist and ink smeller. It probably isn't for you. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Okay. But what is for the 13th Crusader is his choice of books. I don't know. No one's following the rules. You know?
I had a little extra reading for this podcast.
No one's following the rules. I can't believe it.
But all the question is, by the time we're done, would you have said you regretted it?
What, did I regret these choices?
No, reading 2 books.
Well, I've got a funny story about this, and I'll share it in a moment. Okay, so your 2 books, we're going to start off. We're going to probably jump through both of them at the same time, knowing us, or give or take. There you go. Check it out. Justice League of America, Volume 1, number 21. This is, we talked about first, so this is the first team up of the Justice League of America and the Justice Society. It's from, we're also going to look at number 22 as well in a second. So this is from August and September of 1963, respectively. 21 goes for around £50 to £413. I don't know where the 13 comes from, but you know, it's a good number.
That's why he picked it.
Yeah, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. Number 22 is £34 to £404, depending on grade. Both are written by Gardner Fox. Both are art by Mike Sikowski. Inks are by Bernard Sachs. Letters are by Gaspar Saladino, which is a great name. Well done. All right, 13th. This is your choice. Take it away.
Well, as you mentioned, it's the first team up of the Golden Age Justice Society and the Silver Age Justice League of America. So this book is significant for a variety of reasons. That's one of them right there. So you have the interaction of the Golden Age and Silver Age, which is great. And interestingly enough, both of these groups were created by Gardner Fox. So why not? So it makes total sense that in a 21st issue of the Justice League, which was a hit back then, sooner or later the Justice Society was going to pop out, and they did. So at this point in time, the Justice League, you know, this was very, very campy. You know, you can see like the way it opens up. Batman's the chairman of the Justice League. He says everything with a smile, you know. The criminals have escaped and everything. But how can you? I don't know how you do that with a smile. But either way, both teams can be seen having their meetings, which I thought like the way it opens up, like that page is classic right there. Classic Justice League of America meeting and a reunion of sorts for the Justice Society, which we're not seeing for a number of years. So how can all this happen? So
how indeed.
Yeah. So you can go back, right?
Yeah.
And kind of go back to the Flash 123, the Flash of Two Worlds, where he basically discovered another Earth, and history was made right there with the introduction of the multiverse in DC Comics. So sooner or later, if you already had that interaction between Silver Age and Golden Age, the rest of the group would follow. Therefore, you have this book. So obviously, what are you going to use as a plot device? You're going to have a whole bunch of criminals, the crime champions, a band of criminals, 3 from one Earth, 3 from another, Earth 1, Earth 2, joining forces. So that's pretty much what this book is, as far as which members are involved, which villains are involved. It's just basic plots, you know, to take money, $1 million. I don't know how good that would be in today's terms, but back then it was a big deal. So it is a slow, it's a long read, especially when you're looking at the villains talking to each other, explaining every single step of their diabolical plan, you know, and it's just like, oh my God, just go to work, man. If you're gonna go steal, just do it. I mean, but their plans were literally like very, very detailed. But one of the bigger takeaways, I guess, is the actual meeting the first time. There's a panel towards the end of the book where the villains manage to trap the Justice League within their own headquarters, and which I thought was funny. You know, Batman's like, hey, wait, Merlin gave us a magical crystal. Batman using magic would just, I don't know, that made me laugh a lot. But either way, they were just using it to track Barry Allen, the Barry Allen Flash, but he was there with the Jay Garrick Flash. Therefore, the advice was contact my friends, the Justice Society. Then they materialize and they meet for the first time. To me, that is an iconic panel, a truly historic moment. You have the 2 Green Lanterns meeting for the first time, and Hal Jordan, Alan Scott. You have the Al Pratt Atom meeting the Ray Palmer Atom for the first time. This is a very significant meeting in DC history. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you know, as great as the meeting is, you know, they decide, like, look, you know, our criminals from Earth 2 are loose on Earth 1, so we'll go get our guys and you go get ours on our Earth. And that's basically what the plan was for this book.
I mean, that's an old school type of justice, whatever type of plot, isn't it? Because this book, they do break away into teams to fight the various villains. Right.
And again, you know, this is the first of many crossovers, if you will, between era of the Justice Society and the Justice League of America. This thing was a hit. Not only was it historic, it was a hit. And every year, DC made it a point within the pages of Justice League of America to do a team up with Justice Society of America. And I'm glad they did, because well, as funny as it is that each of these team ups or storylines started with the word crisis, it's historic. And I'm glad that these things happen, because you can even tell within the pages of issue 21 how they're trying to explain multiple times, like, look, this is Earth 1, this is Earth 2, this is why there's 2 Earths, you know, things like that. This criminal belongs here. So this was still very fresh for people back then, and it could still be confusing for a novice reader now. So that part is awesome.
I kind of agree with you on that, because when I was growing up and in the 70s, you could buy books featuring both characters. And I was kind of like, so hold on a second, Black Canary, she's in the Justice League, so who's this on the Justice Society? Why is Dr. Fate here and why is he not there? You know, that whole kind of issue kind of raises up. It's funny, some of the Justice Society aren't here, really. Where's Wildcat? So
yeah, some members were left off, but they later on that wouldn't be the case. You know, you'd have both groups of teams had numerous members, and of course those annual team ups, you know, would take place over a number of years. So you'd always have a different roster or whatever. But jumping on to the next issue, and the page you have there, Machine, is proof positive right there. I love this page because this kind of literally spells it out for you. Here's the floating head, here's the name, here's where they are, and then you get the full recap in one page from the previous issue, and then you just jump right into the action. So again, you can't really, you can read issue 21 as a standalone, but but to get the full Crisis story, you really need to read issue 22. Um, One of my favorite, I have a lot of favorite panels with these two stories, but I got a kick out of Superman with pulling Aquaman, and he's kind of like skiing on water. I'm like, they should do that more often. Um, but no, ultimately they're trying to just capture their villains and bring them back to where they belong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest takeaway with issue 22 is, if you read it, although it's not shown, it's mentioned that there must be an Earth 3.
Right.
And that would not come to fruition until several issues later with the introduction of the Crime Syndicate of America. So, again, although it's not shown, it is mentioned. For those of you who are really sticklers about first appearances, this is the first mention of Earth 3. So again, it's important. Both these issues are really important. It's the first, like I said, the first crossover of era a team up of multiple Earths, and then there's an Earth 3, and then how's that working out today? We've lost count, but this is pretty much this was just the beginning for these two books. Awesome books to have. Awesome, for sure.
Good shout. Good shout. Professor, are you a Justice League, Justice Society fan, or are you all about the Avengers?
No, I think I've said it many times, even on this podcast, is that how confusing I thought the multiple Earths concept was to my young brain when I was first starting to pick up some DC comics. My first exposure to DC was the post crisis, right? So Legends, and that was when they had kind of brought everybody together onto one Earth, and so then trying to understand that these characters were from Earth 2, and then educating myself now, like, I mean, go back to the Golden Age, and then this story here where this was, I think, the first thing that I saw from DC where they were really kind of catering to the fan base, right? So I know that they were written for 8-year-olds, but they had a lot of old school fans from the Golden Age that were clamoring for them to bring back the Justice Society characters. Ever since when Barry Allen shows up in Showcase 4, they want, and then of course they come up with Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Now they were inundated with fans writing to them saying, oh yeah, no, you can recreate the Atom, or you can redo Hawkman, or you could redo, all these characters, just redo them. And they never got to a bunch of them. But when they introduce this issue, when they're bringing back the Justice Society, who we haven't seen in 12 years, right? So there are still fans. I mean, everybody at this age, they were telling, our parents told us we had to stop reading comics because they were for kids. Here you have a bunch of college age kids still reading these comic books that are super happy to see the Justice Society come back. And, I liked these issues because it really kind of gives you that feel of history, and that DC is saying, wow, we haven't forgotten all these characters, and here there's so many ways we can go now. And what you said before, they even mentioned Starman, Dr. Midnight, Wonder Woman, say good luck. They're sorry they can't be here, but good luck. Now that's your promise for continued stories, reintroducing those old characters too. So they're coming, And for me, I thought this is just a great historical moment in comics, and it was great to see them written by Gardner Fox, who wrote all the originals. Julius Schwartz, who had a unbelievable career at DC, just basically piloting the ship here. And I just think it is, if you're a serious collector, these books need to be in your collection.
No doubt. I want to piggyback on something you said, Bud. So
sure.
As like you said, when you said about the readers, like now that they're a little older, but they're you get that feeling of nostalgia. They're still hooked on the books, but now they're getting their heroes back. But in the comic book world, what I think should be mentioned, the Justice Society, you see progression with them. They aged a little bit,
Yep.
They're not out of the game, but they're rusty.
Mm.
And I think that was a good thing that DC did here, because, and you know this as good as I do, Machine, that one of the great things with the Justice Society is the progression, how they have
Definitely.
aged, how they've had kids or grandkids or whoever that take up the mantle and what have you. So
Yep.
I think that's important, because this is really where, for the first time, you see a team
Mhm.
that's not fully out of it. They're, you know, maybe they're retired or part-timer or whatever, but here they are again, and they're itching to
Yep.
come back. But you see them a little bit older, and you could see, like, even the panels with Alan Scott and Hal Jordan. Like, so now not only is, you know, like someone like Hal Jordan a legendary character in himself, now he has kind of a mentor, so to speak. Same for the Barry Allen Flash. So there's that respect to the Golden Age group of heroes.
It's that whole concept of legacy heroes that DC does so well,
Right.
and 100 times better than Marvel, because they never had a plan. Oh, they never had the history, right?
So, okay. So, what do you think about the art? Because I know Mike Sikowski does get a little bit of a knock on the art. You know, it's not quite as dynamic, and I'm really interested, I guess, but because I know in the past you've said things like a DC book looks older. From
Yeah,
its,
but I mean,
its
here
same
we're
age.
we're talking about a 1963 book, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's I do want to give credit to Mike Sikowski. I'm not a big fan of his art, but man, he had to draw 20 different characters in this issue, so you gotta give him the shout.
All right.
So.
Okay. Fair
Agreed.
enough.
Right.
Good shout. All right. So, things I like about this duo of books. Gardner Fox had a hand, as you've said, in the revitalization of the DC universe with Flash, Green Lantern. Also had a hand in Batman when he became super popular in the 60s and became more pop, I guess. As a book, it kind of reads a little bit like the Marvel Mystery one. It is kind of segmented in its kind of way of how things move along and the characters go across. It is good fun read. I absolutely enjoyed it. Funny thing about this book, bit of a segue. Here we go. So a couple of years back, me and Mrs. H were out for a romantic evening in a hotel. Yes, that means what it means over here, the same way as it means over there. Yes.
Your bedroom was getting painted?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, yeah. So on the way there, we found this guy on the bidding site that we're not going to advertise because they don't give us any money. And it was talking about crisis graphic novels. And so I checked him, how much do you want and stuff. It was like free of charge. So I picked up for free. Are you ready?
Excellent.
There we go.
Excellent.
This is the graphic that has, or the trade that has these two books in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that an Alex Ross cover?
Yes, it most certainly is. Are you ready? Ta-da. The next one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which covers a whole host of other Justice League books into the Silver Age. Okay, so that's really good fun. I like that one. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it's got the Freedom Fighter cover we were talking about beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
So all those trade paperbacks, Crisis on Multiple Earths, that's a great way if for anybody out there that just can't find the issues, if that's what you're after or whatever. But it's a very convenient collected way to read all of those team ups between both teams, crossing over into the different Earths. So very, very good stuff to read.
Yep. So this one is volume 4, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got 7 issues in, where the others have got way more. Again, another fantastic cover with Shazam going at it with Superman. That's cool. And then for the PS2 Resistance, it's a little bit newer, so probably not for the show, but the Infinite Crisis book.
Mm-hmm.
All for that, for the pricey sum of 0 pence. There you go.
Nice.
And he lived near where the hotel was, so we managed to drop by on the way home. So
crisis averted.
Yeah, crisis averted. So the thing I like about the books and these issues is that it is a part of DC's history. It's great seeing the characters interact. I would recommend not trying to read the whole thing all in one go, because it does get a little bit samey, but break it up a little bit. But definitely good reads if if this is just a society Justice League. If you want to get into some ground level stuff, I know currently they're talking about, as part of the Infinite Frontiers, that everyone's back, but Alan Scott realized that some people are still missing. So, the current stuff is still going to tie into the older stuff. So keep your eye on that. So most definitely do. There you go. I have to say that I'm not a big fan of the Sikowski's work. I'm with you on this. It's just a little bit too blocky, not as dynamic. And I know what you're saying, it's 1963, but what were Marvel doing in the 60s?
Mm-hmm.
They had Jack Kirby. So,
well, yeah, they had Jack Kirby
and Steve Ditko. So it's cool. All right, time for one of our adverts. So we have a couple to choose from. I'm going to throw it out to you guys and see which one you want to go with. We have Flipside Focus. We have the Jank Think Tank. I think we've got the winner here in Crisis in the Toyverse. Which one do you want to see, guys?
Crisis in the Toyverse, because we just had a crisis on 2 Earths.
Agreed.
Well done. Well done. Here we go. Here's an advert for Crisis in the Toyverse. What a great show. If you're into your figures and your statues, check out the show. Bob Orr is absolutely brilliant at that show.
Yeah,
and
he rocks.
Yeah, man. I wish we could do more work with him, to be fair. But
yeah, I mean, if he's putting on like cooking lessons too, I mean, I don't know get some of his recipes there.
Yeah, marshmallows, oven. That's pretty much.
How can you go wrong?
Is it a recipe, or is it just like s'mores modern style? I don't know. Do I get bonus points for saying s'mores? Correct.
No, but he knows his toys. I know that.
Yeah, he knows stuff, man. He is absolutely the wizard at that sort of stuff. All right, so we've talked about the fantastic, the start of a universe in the Marvel Mystery Book. We've talked about the pairing of a universe with the Justice League books. Now it's my turn. Now I could have gone anywhere because Marvel Team Up 82 with Spider-Man, Black Widow, one of my favorite covers of all time. That's a pretty good book. And of course, everyone knows I'm a big Batman fan, so I've got all those Brave and the Bolds to choose from. But no, like a complete and utter muppet.
That's so British.
Yeah. I went with DC's other big team up book in DC Comics Presents. So on one hand, you had Brave and the Bold, which was Batman +1. This is Superman +1. Kind of think Marvel Team Up Spider +1 and
Marvel 2-in-1, yeah,
which was the Thing and +1. So this is DC Comics Presents number 19. It is Superman with Batgirl. It's the Barbara Gordon Batgirl. Of course it is, because it's from the 80s. It's from March 1980. Written by Denny O'Neil, with art by Joe Staton, inks by F. Chiaramonte, which sounds more like should be a Hawk person, but never mind. Letters by Milt Stappin, who's got a great name. And do you think he works in Lego? No, I don't know. Colors by Jerry Serpe. And just to give you an element of ridiculousness, considering we've been talking about books in thousands and hundreds, this book will cost you a princely sum of between £3 to £5. There you go. What can go wrong with that, right? But I know you're a DC humongous fan, so we'll start with you first. Tell us about this book. What did you
Uh,
think?
yeah. So I mean, this was a bit jarring after talking about a couple of historical books. You get, you know, Superman,
Jarring, is that
Batgirl. Um,
jarring in a good way, of course? Yes.
Yes.
so yeah, I mean, I thought this book was okay. It's your typical 1980s Superman,
Uh-huh.
and not being a huge fan of this era of DC.
Hmm.
Like they do make some references that I really didn't really know, like Barbara Gordon saying that she lost an election. I had
Yeah.
no idea about that. Um, there was a couple of, I think there was one character that old guy with the beard kind of got more screen time than some of the other characters in this book.
Well,
Um,
that's his house.
yeah. But I didn't know if like how important of a character he was supposed to be. I thought the villain in this book was really super cheesy, uh, as far as like the guy with a hawk head in a
Uh-huh.
suit who didn't understand his powers, but he was going to do his best to destroy everybody anyway.
Yeah.
Um, I just I don't know if I was the right guy to kind of start talking about this book.
All right. Okay. That's
but
fine.
but for the most part, um, I mean, hey, it had Superman in it. Hey, it had Batgirl in it. I don't know if it was the first. I don't know if it was the first time they ever teamed up. But
No.
I was kind of like, I was like, wow. So Clark Kent knows Barbara Gordon, like they are pallies, but they
Uh-huh.
didn't know each other's the secret identities.
Pretty much.
Um, so I was like, so like, what's the team up? Like, did they really team up? And it,
Um,
and I
there's
was
at least
like,
a panel. There's at least a panel with them in together.
yeah, but they were both in it. Yeah, they were both in the comic book. That was great. Um, but yeah, no, I'm really kind of interested in hearing what you guys think about it. Um, because really, I said I don't really have the DC knowledge and experience to be able to maybe give this book justice, Johnny, if that's
Okay.
what you want to do.
All right.
Um,
No, that's fine. Hey,
but
everybody has. I mean, you.
I'm just going to say this is not one of Denny O'Neil's best efforts. Is
Okay.
that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
All right. So Scooby Doo meets Superman meets Batgirl, basically. Damn it, I'd get away with it too if it wasn't for that dude in the hawk mask and the suit. Okay. 13th. What
Where
do you
do I
think?
start? Okay.
Let's,
I
let's,
think I know why you picked this book.
oh, why did I
And
pick this book?
well, for sure, the Barbara Gordon Batgirl, this is, for me at least, my favorite version of her with this brand of costume that she has on.
Uh-huh.
That's for sure. And, when it comes to DC Comics Presents, which is a interesting run in itself along the way, it's
Mm-hmm.
just basically who can you put together with Superman, who has you don't normally see. So
Yeah.
it says it right on the cover, the team up you demanded. Yeah, I would have loved to see a team up with Superman and Batgirl, but this is not what I envisioned. But it
Yeah.
happened, and I don't know. I've lost count of how many DC books I've read over the years, but when I read this, I got a sense of like that house in the story that just appears. I'm like, is this the House of Mystery?
Yeah.
So
Good
I got
point.
that, but then you're like, okay, this is gonna be a standalone story. A guy just happens to find it and is rich and what have you. And but the way that they make Barbara Gordon meet up with Clark Kent is just straight up pure coincidence. And but how could they have done a better job of trying to merge their events together to have them both meet? Yeah. Should they have met as in their alter egos as Superman and Batgirl first? Maybe. But anyways, this is what you get. And the villain at the end of the day is Dr. Horus.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
what's up with the
So
obelisk too? Because and why was he hiding in there?
it was full of lead.
That was so. But the Falcon guy knew that Superman couldn't see through it. That's why he hid there.
I don't know. But when Superman went to look in there, he couldn't. So I don't know. I mean, this it's hard to really find sense of this issue, and I guess if you want to give it justice, maybe that's the point, because Dr. Horace had no idea what he was doing. Eh, So, and everybody's going insane. So I
Yeah,
guess that's the theme. But, Superman and magic don't mix.
yeah.
So that's another thing that threw me off a little bit with this, when he's trying to find a house that reappears and reappears, but he can still find it. I
Yeah.
don't know. That was a little tough. But Batgirl, I love the Barbara Gordon Batgirl. I love this uniform for her, but
Mhm.
I don't think this book does her justice as far as what she's truly capable of. She is an excellent detective, one of the
Mhm.
best, if not as good as Batman. She's super smart and
Mhm.
very resourceful. And, the opening pages say, oh, Barbara Gordon, brown belt in karate. I don't think so. I think she's better than that.
Mm.
But these are two iconic heroes, and this is just a lackluster team up, unfortunately, with one a one-time villain.
That's
So a bit of a missed opportunity then.
I absolutely, no doubt
I
about that.
I think you could erase Batgirl in all these panels and put literally any other hero like Wildcat or Robin or any other hero, and it would be the same story, right?
Well, that
That's a
DC
fair
Comics
point.
Presents pretty much was that. It's like, who can we throw with Superman who really doesn't get that kind of showtime to be with him?
I mean,
It's like,
just
it's here's your allotted time that you can hang out with Superman. Here you go.
so but the thing is that at the time, Batgirl was hugely popular. She was in the backup strip of
Yep.
Detective Comics, drawn a lot of the time by Joe Staton. So there was that continuity from there. I agree that there isn't a lot of screen time for them as a pairing,
Mhm.
which which I totally understand. But man, I've got to say, when I was a kid, I loved this book. This was one of my favorite books that I had in my collection, and recently, well, I say recently, I have managed to, there you go, there it is
Oh,
in all
there you
its
go.
glory.
Did,
Cost
did
me
you
about.
did you replace that book in your collection?
But this is when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my mum sold all my comics for me. Damn it.
Oh,
So this is kind of like the replacement. It is the only copy. Well, it's the only issue of DC Comics Presents that I own, and it's purely for this. So, for me, I love this book. It is bonkers. The thing that I remember the most reading it as a kid was how stupid is everybody not to realize that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person,
Mhm.
and how unforgettable is Barbara Gordon because nobody asks where she went.
Mhm.
Yeah, but other than that, so I was 9 when this book came out, so that probably explains why I like it so much. Batgirl, she's so cool. Look at that. She hits somebody so hard, she makes their chin turn into a big neck. That's impressive.
uh,
Yeah, that was a
Uh,
cool shot. The backwards left-handed undercut.
I like that.
Is that what you
There's
call it? An undercut, not an
yeah,
uppercut?
so I go with that. There's a miscolor on the glove, which is fine. But yeah, I'm with you. 13th. This is probably the
oh,
best Barbara Gordon Batgirl.
I think there was a page that I thought that there should have been another word bubble. Uh, it was when Superman. So there's a bottom panel where Superman's flying, and it's like he says something, and there's two dashes, like there's supposed to be a continuation. Yeah, right. This one.
Uh,
Nothing you can throw at me, and then they turn the page and there's nothing.
yeah,
I was like, wait, what?
yeah. There's some issues, but when you look at classic 80s DC, this is the Superman model.
Mhm.
This is what you expect. This is the Batgirl model, and um, yeah, the villain kind of goes nowhere. Barbara Gordon fades into the background, but Batgirl looks great all the time. So
Mhm. Yeah,
and
this
even
version of Batgirl, no doubt.
yeah, definitely. I would have liked to have seen Don Newton do more Batgirl.
Mhm.
He only did a few. I think off the top of my head, 500 Detective Comics 503 with the Scarecrow cover, one of my favorites. We might get around to that at some point. But reading this book today to prepare for the show, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's cheese on toast. Yeah, Superman comes and goes without anybody wondering, oh, where's Clark Kent gone? And how he explains why he changes. I managed to fly in the darkness and change into my clothes. You know what? I don't care. But you know what? I still, when I finished it, I had a stupid grin on my face from ear to ear. And that's kind of what we do this for, right? This is why we read comics. This is why you read those old Avengers books. You know the one we looked at?
Yep.
With Star Fox in it?
Yeah.
You know, these are our books. These are the books that made us fans.
I can't begrudge you any of that, and I happily read these books, even though I know they're not going to stand up, or I'm going to have issues with them. But I love it. So
for me, the reason why I love this show so much, other than hanging out with you two of my favorite people, we get to talk about random books like this, right? Now, everybody who reads comic books, everybody will have a book like this in their collection.
Yeah.
That will have absolutely no impact on a massive universe stage, will have absolutely nothing to do with anything else, and the people will think, really? You bought that? But they will love this book. All right. So
nostalgia.
So anyone who's into comic books, reading the show, go back, check out some of these oldies, because you know what? They were great for us at the time. Could be great for you right now.
Go into a comic book store and just take a sniff of that box with all those old DC Comics presents in it. Tell
good luck with that. Yeah, you might be able to get the whole box for like 20 quid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, 13's an ink sniffer, so he knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I know where to find him.
Yeah. So this is 1980. Is this your vintage for ink? 13.
83 is my preference.
83. All right. Okay.
Followed by 86.
Okay. What happened 84 and 85?
The ink was a little drier. And then remember too, the Baxter paper from Titans wasn't that pleasant.
Yeah.
Which is around that time. So
yeah, they start using more colors, and then
86, like the Marvel, especially like Marvel Universe, like that was heavy in ink because of all the text.
Yep. Well, so once they get away from newsprint, it's the newsprint that gives you that odor.
I absolutely love buying a box of comics, whether it be like 20 issues or whether it be however many, and you get them off bidding sites. What did you call it? The one that you said, Mike? CBay. There you go. CBay. So you go there, you open up the box, and you just take them out. Obviously, I take them out of the bags that they come with and put my own bags on. But when you take them out, and all you can just smell is all comics.
Yes.
Bliss.
Takes you to your happy place.
Yeah, that and fishnets, which is why I was pleased someone picked the Justice League book with Black Canary in it.
Although that panel when she was turned solidified into another material, that took away a little bit of the fishnets, though temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily. It's cool. All right, guys, that's it for another show. What will we have next time? Who knows? We'll probably go with something equally as crazy as DC Comics Presents
number 20.
Are you insane? Batgirl's not in that one.
You never know. You never know what we're going to come up with.
Yeah. God knows what's next. All right. So don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite shows, including Professor.
No Price Podcast, all about Marvel Comics.
And you're delving into The Falcon and Winter Soldier at the moment. Is that right? The TV show?
We are. Yeah, we talked about the first 2 episodes. That show's going to drop Tuesday. So make sure you be on the lookout for that.
Cool. Excellent. And of course, the 13th Crusader inspired Definitive Crusade is still ongoing. So check that out for all your DC exploits of current days. And of course, you've got Flipside Focus, which focuses on all the indie stuff that's kicking around. All right. So we should probably become more prevalent nowadays with the price hike, which we're not going to talk about.
Truly a DC Comics Presents.
Yeah,
issue.
Yeah, definitely.
No pun intended.
Yeah, there'll be no team up on that one. All right, okay. So I'm joining the Machine Hughes, as always. We'll see you next time. Adios.